What? Still afraid to say anything without your daddy around to tell you what to do?
Cherry, please don't start. Do you think I like this? Well, I don't. I don't like it any more than you do.
That's a laugh. I'm going to prison for attempted murder, but it hurts you just as much as it hurts me. You've been reading way too many of your dad's psychology books, Brandon.
Cherry, when are you going to stop trying to blame this whole thing on my dad and me? You tried to kill us, all of us. My mom is in the hospital right now because of you.
Brandon, I know you're never going to believe this, but everything I did because I loved you.
I'm Judge Robert J. Franklin. I chose the law as my way of serving my fellow citizens. As an elected judge in the family court, I pray each day that God will give me the wisdom to always temper justice with mercy.
All rise.
What you're about to see is a dramatization of an actual case in family court. Because of the emotional and sensitive nature of the issues presented here, Judge Franklin's courtroom is closed to the public. Proceedings are about to begin.
Be seated, please. Miss Page.
Your Honor, this is a sentencing hearing for Cherry Winslow, who has pled guilty to the attempted murder of her ex-husband and his family. Testifying for the state are Brandon Winslow, Cherry's ex-husband, and Dr. Hubert Winslow, his father.
All right, thank you, Miss Page. Mr. Shannon, let me hear your opening statement, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The only reason Cherry Winslow was charged with attempted murder instead of murder in the first degree is the fact that she's a bad shot. Since her divorce from Brandon, this woman has maliciously harassed the Winslow family with threatening phone calls, broken windows, slashed car tires. The defense will try to present Cherry Winslow as a poor, misunderstood girl who committed one rash act under a condition of temporary insanity. This is a lie. Cherry Winslow is a very dangerous person who failed in killing once, but who would not hesitate to try again if given the opportunity. Your Honor, this court must deny her that opportunity and put her behind bars.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon. Ms. Cordell?
Your Honor, Cherry Winslow's act was an act of temporary insanity brought on by months of constant emotional and psychological pressure. And where did this pressure, where did this attack come from? From her husband, from her mother-in-law, from her father-in-law, from the whole family she married into, hoping to find love and acceptance, but instead was met with prejudice and hatred. If Cherry Winslow went over the edge, Your Honor, these people pushed her. Does this mean they deserve to be shot at? Of course not. But Cherry is an abused woman, Your Honor, emotionally abused, and she commands the protection of this court, not any further condemnation. We ask that she be placed in an outpatient psychiatric facility rather than be sentenced to a life behind prison walls. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cordell. Mr. Shannon, your first witness, please.
I call Brandon Winslow.
Very well, sir. Mr. Winslow, let me remind you that you're already under oath, sir.
You sure it's all right with Daddy, Brandon?
Now, Ms. Winslow, just please keep your comments to yourself. You'll have a chance later on. Go ahead, Counselor.
Brandon, admittedly, you and Cherry come from very different backgrounds. How did you first meet Cherry?
At college. I went out of state my freshman year. Cherry worked as a waitress in one of the restaurants near campus.
Hey, I was a student, too. I was just taking time off to earn tuition. Some of us have to earn a living, Brandon.
Ms. Winslow, this is your last warning. One more interruption, I'll have you removed to the holding cell. Go ahead, Counselor.
Brandon, did your father meet Cherry before you were married?
Once. I took her home to meet Mom and Dad the first weekend after we met. What a joke. They hated each other on sight. She called my mom a gas bag. Dad said if I married her, I'd regret it the rest of my life. Boy, did he call that one.
Well, given your father's dislike of Cherry, why did you marry her?
Well, Cherry told me she was pregnant. Dad said she should just take care of it. He even offered to pay for it. But no, I thought I'd do the right thing.
What happened to the baby?
2 weeks after we were married, Cherry told me she lost it. I was wrecked. I mean, I never would have married her if I didn't think she was pregnant. But by then it was too late.
Brandon, how would you describe the quality of your married life?
Hell on earth. She wouldn't leave me alone for a minute. Wanted to go to all my classes with me, wanted to do all my homework with me. She complained if I had to get up to go to the bathroom. At first, I thought it was cute. Proof of how much she loved me. And maybe to help her get over losing the baby. But then I started to suffocate. I tried to get her to back off a little.
How did Cherry react to that?
She got violent, screaming temper tantrums, breaking dishes and furniture. She had no self-esteem. I tried to give her that. I tried to love her. But with some people, it's never enough, no matter what you do. Finally, I couldn't take the abuse. I left. I moved back home and filed for divorce.
And how did Cherry react to your decision to file for divorce?
It made her even more violent. Every night, all night, she'd park her car on the street in front of our house and watch us. At least 6 times I came out to find the tires of my car had been slashed.
Move to strike. In the first place, there's no proof that my client is in any way responsible for these allegedly slashed tires.
Motion is granted. Strike all reference to slashed tires, Dana. Go ahead, Counselor.
Brandon, please tell the court what happened on the night of June 12th.
Well, we'd been out to dinner with some friends. I guess it was a little after 10 o'clock. We saw Sherry's car and parked in the street when we pulled in, but she wasn't in it. And we were just getting out of our car when Cherry jumped out from behind the hedges. She was pointing a gun and she started firing. I mean, I knew she was out of it, but I never thought she'd do anything that crazy.
Was she trying to shoot you specifically?
She was shooting at all of us. My mother got hit in the stomach before I pushed her back in the car. Cherry just kept running straight at us and firing the gun. Dad yelled at me to jump her, so we did. It's a miracle she didn't kill all of us. I don't know. It's really weird. A girl says she loves you and everything, and then she tries to kill you.
Thank you, Brandon. No further questions.
My mother is in the hospital getting skin grafts on her stomach. Cherry is still out to get us, Your Honor. If you don't put her in jail, she's gonna kill me and my whole family.
Which is more extraordinary? Vidal Sassoon's Salon Premium Hair Products or the woman who uses them? Vidal Sassoon. If you don't look good, we don't look good.
Can I get this tomorrow? You want it when? Tomorrow!
At other stores, getting alterations by tomorrow can be a real problem. But with C&R's new Express Tailoring, tomorrow isn't a problem for normal alterations.
Yeah, we can have this for you by tomorrow. Tomorrow? Tomorrow!
Buy your suit, sport coat, or slacks today, and you can have it ready tomorrow. Express Tailoring, only at C&R.
I was a passenger when the other car hit us broadside. I knew I had rights.
1-800-THE-LAW, too.
I felt pain, and suddenly there were so many things to take care of.
1-800-THE-LAW, too.
We can assist you in obtaining a car rental, recovering your lost wages, and obtaining compensation for your pain and suffering. And most importantly, we can equalize the power of the insurance companies that they enjoy by virtue of their financial strength.
For a free consultation on accidents, the Legal Rights Defenders. 1-800-THE-LAW, too. It's all the law you need to know.
From the Big Apple, from New York City, here we are.
Win, Lose, or Draw is coming at you from Central Park.
And we're really excited about it.
See highbrow culture.
Singing opera.
And high-stakes action.
I just lost $10.
Take a ride on success with Susan Lucci, famed Gene Anthony Ray, Kim Fields, and Peter Marshall.
You'll be great, don't worry about it. I certainly hope so.
On the next Win, Lose, or Draw.
Let's go, come on.
Tonight at 7:30, nowhere else but Channel 9.
You may cross-examine, Ms. Cordell.
So, Daddy didn't approve of your choice in women, but you got married anyway. It's fairly unusual for you to go against your father's wishes, isn't it, Brandon?
If I listen to my father, it's because he's right. He told me not to marry Cherry, and look what happened.
Yes, let's look at what happened. You said Cherry miscarried 2 weeks after your marriage. You said you were wrecked. What about her?
I guess she took it pretty hard, sure. But Dad and I really tried to help her.
Yes. In fact, she went into counseling with your father. And it was shortly thereafter that she started acting in ways that you found stifling, abusive, unbearable. Isn't that right?
That's the way she always was. I just didn't realize it until after we were married.
Brandon, isn't it true that after Cherry's miscarriage, you refused to let her go back to work?
Hey, I didn't want my wife working as a waitress, okay?
Well, that's funny. She was a waitress when you met her and fell in love with her.
But we didn't need the money. Dad was paying the rent so I could finish school.
But isn't that exactly what Cherry objected to? Didn't she tell you that she wanted to pay the rent so that your father wouldn't be controlling your lives?
She was just paranoid about all that. She didn't want my family around because she can't stand her own parents. Her whole family's a bunch of hillbillies. I mean, how many people do you know that would name their daughter Cherry? She tricked me into marrying her to get away from them.
That's a lie. Are you going to let him get away with that?
That's it, young lady. Bailiff.
You hypocrite. You'll say anything to please your daddy, but don't you lie about my parents.
Brandon, let's go over this again. Cherry had just moved into town. She was married into a hostile family, lost a baby, was forced to quit her job, was miles away from her family with no money. And it was then that you decided to leave her high and dry, right?
You don't understand. It got to the point where she was screaming at me constantly and even hitting me. There was no reason to try to talk anymore. I had to just get out.
But you didn't even have the courtesy to tell her that you were leaving. Isn't it true that when Cherry was at a doctor's appointment, you and your father backed up a truck to your apartment and cleared it out? You even called and had the phone and electricity shut off, didn't you?
I just didn't want her running up bills in my name. There's certain things you gotta do when you get divorced.
Brandon, when you and your father did all those things, Cherry tried to kill herself, didn't she?
She took a whole bottle of sleeping pills.
Yes. Sleeping pills your father prescribed for her. Defense Exhibit A, Your Honor. It says here that the hospital had phoned you and asked you to come and see your wife. And even though she had tried to kill herself, you wouldn't go, would you?
I just didn't think it would do any good.
Nothing you do ever does it, Brandon? No further questions, Your Honor.
You may step down, Mr. Winslow. Thank you very much. Mr. Shannon, your next witness, please.
I call Hubert Winslow.
Very well, sir. Dr. Winslow, let me remind you that you were sworn in as this hearing began. And now, as you testify before this court, you will be testifying under oath. You do recall that, do you not?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. All right, Counselor, go ahead.
Dr. Winslow, your son has testified that you took an immediate dislike to Cherry. Why did you feel that way?
The girl was obviously unstable. She could not take even the mildest of criticisms. And the more I tried to help her, the worse she got.
In your professional opinion, Dr. Winslow, was Cherry acting in a fit of temporary insanity when she shot you, your wife, and your son?
As I said, Cherry was emotionally disturbed. Her attempt at murder was the climax of a long period of increasingly obsessive behavior. Now, in my practice, I have seen this kind of behavior frequently in young men and women who have been abused as children. But Cherry would not admit to her past.
Dr. Winslow, would a sentence to a psychiatric facility be more beneficial to Cherry at this point than a prison term?
I hate to say this, but unfortunately, no. I found her completely unresponsive to therapy. What Cherry needs is a good, hard dose of reality. Someone has to teach that young woman that the violence that she learned in her home will not go unpunished in the real world.
Thank you. No further questions.
Very well, sir. Ms. Cordell?
Dr. Winslow, what exactly are the ethics of one family member performing psychiatry on another? Is this an accepted practice?
Well, it is unusual. But how is she going to afford counseling someplace else?
Isn't it true that during the course of your therapy, you advised Cherry to give up all her interests, work, career, family, so that she could concentrate her energies on Brandon? Wasn't Cherry acting on your specific advice when she started behaving in ways that you now call obsessive?
That is ridiculous. I didn't tell her to follow Brandon into the bathroom.
Isn't it true that after you orchestrated Brandon's move out of their apartment, Cherry tried to call you many times and you never once returned her calls?
I did not orchestrate anything. And besides, at that point, Cherry was no longer my patient.
Your patient